Welcome to News.Markets Business Book Club. Today we're reading Holacracy, the revolutionary management system that abolishes hierarchy and turns everybody into a leader. Author and Holacracy pioneer Brian Robertson is here now. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Abolishing hierarchy. What does this mean? That we don't have any managers anymore?
Think of it actually more like everyone's a leader instead of managers coordinating work. And it's really a different way to coordinate the work in a company, which if you think about how that works, it's like a feudal system. We have barons and lords and we break down the work, and that worked great for the level of complexity in our world 80 years ago when we pioneered it. But it's kind of becoming obsolete. Look at the pace of the world, the pace of change. It really doesn't respond as fast as, say, a market, which responds so much. It distributes information, it gets the right stuff to the right place at the right time. We don't see that in our companies, and we need more responsive systems.
If you have a more responsive system, though, doesn't that mean you have to have meetings after meeting after meeting to make sure everyone knows where they fit into this new way of working?
Yeah, well, if you're getting rid of management as a way of achieving order, you need some other way. You can't just throw out order and have chaos. So with Holacracy, it uses a specific meeting protocol to figure out who's going to do what do we expect from each other, who's accountable for what, and to make sure people get held accountable.
So speaking of who's accountable, without a CEO, a woman at the top, who's accountable to investors?
Well, in any structure, management hierarchy included, we want more than just the guy at the top to be accountable. In fact, we might have not seen so many company catastrophes if we had more accountability at the front line. So Holacracy doesn't remove the fact that investors still look to one person ultimately to be accountable for that company. What it does is give that person a way of breaking it down. So instead of just, basically heroically leading everything at the top, you've got a whole company full of people that know exactly what they're accountable for, and they've got peers holding them accountable.
Okay, that's the theory. Let's talk about the practice. Now, I know for you it's tried and tested in some of the companies that you've run, and your biggest fan, the CEO of Zappos, has tried it out there. I mean, what's he doing, and is it really working? Because there have been highs and lows, right?
Yeah, well, I think they're on the journey, and I think they're doing great. But this isn't something you just change and 6 months later you're done, right? This is completely changing the power structure of a company to a different way of achieving order, alignment, control, and all that. That's a 5-year journey, right? And you'll see returns early on, and Zappos has seen some returns very early in that journey. They're about 2 years into what I think will ultimately be a 5-year transition. So far, so good. They're doing great. They're seeing more empowerment, more responsiveness. They're seeing people on the front lines taking more ownership of their work, being more responsible, getting stuff done. That I think is pretty
invested in their brands.
Absolutely, more engaged. I mean, have you seen the engagement stats? And modern workforces are terrible, and this is changing that.
But if you have a look at some of the stories in the news, some real trouble in the boardroom, if you like. I'm thinking about Barclays, Tesco, Standard Chartered. What kind of company would you like to get your hands on?
For me, it's really about the most innovative companies around. So, companies like Google that are, despite being that big, they're still pioneering constantly. They're inventing new products as fast as a lot of the startup scene that kind of exists in their ecosystem. They're experimenting with different ways of running various aspects of business in that kind of company. For me, it's companies like that that are going to be continually pushing the edge and pioneering, not just in their products, but also in the very fundamental way they run their business. And I think those are the companies to watch for.
Technology, startups, is that the only place? Is it a one-size-fits-all?
No, it's not. It's one of our newest clients is a Bitcoin exchange. There's manufacturing companies. There's a state government in the U.S. that's experimenting with this now. It's across the board. I think most of the organizations in the world today are straining to deal with the level of complexity in the world.
Right, so while they start thinking about doing things differently, it's a chance for investors to start looking at companies a little bit differently. Brian Robertson, thank you very much. Brian Robertson, the author of Holacracy.